Democrats seem to be having this debate whether or not Maher Mamdani is a socialist or a democratic socialist. Let me settle it. He's a straight-up communist. How do I know this? Well, I'm reading between the lines when one of his major advisors says, elect more communists.
Bill Maher wastes no time cutting through the Democrats' carefully chosen labels. Socialist, Democratic Socialist Maher argues that the distinction becomes meaningless when Mamdani's own political circle is openly calling for more communists to be elected. His real target is not just Mamdani, but a Democratic establishment that keeps trying to soften radical ideas with friendlier language. Maher's warning is brutally simple. Voters can recognize extremism even when politicians refuse to name it, and pretending it does not exist may cost Democrats far more than they realize. Before we continue, if you enjoy short commentary videos with sharp, detailed analysis, take a second to subscribe to the channel. Now, let's get back to the video.
I mean, the issue now that Andrew Cuomo is bringing up in New York is that he is a Ugandan citizen. Uganda is a country where they kill homosexuals.
So somebody who is a dual citizen can't be mayor of New York, or?
I would renounce, if I was the dual citizen with a country whose policy, the government policy, was we kill homosexuals, yeah, I would renounce that citizenship.
Zohran Mamdani may have entered office, promising affordability and change, but the people he surrounds himself with are now revealing just how radical that change could become. When a senior figure connected to his administration talks about treating private property as something communal and suggests that white homeowners must develop a different relationship with what they own, this is no longer just campaign rhetoric. It raises a serious question about Mamdani's judgment. Are these merely controversial personal opinions, or do they reflect the ideology guiding his administration? Because once homeownership is portrayed as a tool of racial oppression, ordinary New Yorkers have every reason to wonder whether Mamdani's so-called socialist revolution will come at their expense. That concern becomes even harder to dismiss once Mamdani's campaign promises are examined in practical terms. In a revealing conversation with Michael Rappaport, Bill Maher moves beyond ideological labels and asks the question New Yorkers will ultimately have to confront. Can free public transit, rent freezes, and massive government intervention actually deliver affordability, or will the bill eventually fall on the very people Mamdani claims to protect?
Remember the woman when Trump won the first time? She was like, no. It was like an iconic, she was with her glasses.
Vaguely,
if Mamdani wins, I'm going to remake that video in New York.
Oh, that's funny.
Because that's how I'll feel.
What will you say if he gets into office and says, look, the Palestinian thing is being settled. I'm now the mayor of New York. I don't want to talk about that anymore. So if you ask me any questions about Palestine, I'm the mayor of New York. I have feelings about it. I have opinions.
Great.
They're right.
You shouldn't talk about it.
Wouldn't that be a great thing to say? And then say, I got elected not because of what I think about Palestine. I got elected, although some of the useful idiots, of course, love him for it. I got elected because this city is not affordable. And then what if he, and of course everyone saying a lot of what he's proposing is impossible.
Yeah.
Which I would, if I was a betting person, I would bet on that opinion. It's not really going to work to have grocery stores that are government run and free buses and freeze on housing rents, because capitalism, as bad as it is over and over again, we learn the same lesson. It's the worst system except for all the others. That would be my guess. What if he has success? What would you say?
I'd say fantastic.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm not like one of these people that like,
right.
Especially at this point in my life, you know, like if he did, I want people to feel safe in New York City. You know, I want my wife to feel safe. My wife is a tough broad. She doesn't feel safe in Midtown Manhattan during the day.
Really?
I'm not saying she's like fucking shaking in her boots, but my wife in the last 2 or 3 years has been groped in Times Square, has had a fucking shoe thrown at her, has been called the N-word, and got proposed to on the train by a homeless person, all between 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. I don't care that you're homeless. Don't touch my fucking wife. You know what I mean? And it bothered me so deeply that this happened to her. When you touch my wife and my wife is violated, I get to thinking, I'm sorry that you're mentally ill. I'm sorry that whatever you're on and wherever got you to this place, but you're touching my wife at 3 p.m. on 47th and 6th. I want this person put the fuck away forever, period. And there's other women in New York City that also feel uncomfortable and unsafe. And we're not talking about in the boroughs. I'm talking about in Midtown Manhattan and downtown Manhattan. It's not cool for women to feel uncomfortable during the daytime in the greatest city on earth.
And this is where Mamdani's promises collide with the reality of governing. Free buses, frozen rents, and government-run grocery stores may sound like an immediate answer to New York's affordability crisis, but Bill Maher is asking the question campaign slogans usually avoid: who pays for all of it, and what happens when political ambition runs into economic reality. Maher's point is not that capitalism is perfect, it clearly is not. His argument is that every attempt to replace market pressure with sweeping government control eventually creates new shortages, new costs, and new opportunities for failure. Yet, Michael Rappaport makes an equally important concession. If Mamdani can actually deliver safer streets, lower costs, and a better quality of life, then success should be acknowledged. That is the real test. Mamdani will not be judged by how inspiring his promises sound, but by whether New Yorkers can afford their homes, move safely through their city, and see measurable results without being buried beneath the cost of his political experiment. And that political gamble is about to become even more serious. Because Mamdani's rise is no longer just a debate over rent freezes, free buses, or government-run grocery stores, it is forcing Democrats to decide whether they will confront the radical ideas growing inside their own coalition or allow those ideas to redefine the party in the eyes of the entire country.
You've had your time, let a new generation.
So you think
lead.
Mamdani's a great one, huh?
I do. I mean, did you see his Knicks speech? I mean, anyone
not the
who's
issue that most concerned me. I don't
it's
need...
worth a watch because the speech was not just about the Knicks. First of all, he recites every Knicks player. I mean, I couldn't do that about the 49ers.
Who gives a shit about the Knicks? He's the mayor of New York.
Well, yeah, but he talks about how it's actually bringing people together. Trump voters, Mamdani voters, how it's overcoming the odds. And he took a speech that was just about celebrating a championship, and he made something bigger about it. He's a talented.
Okay. Well, it doesn't make me forget that his wife loved October 7th attack on Israel, and that he pals around with terrorists.
No, come on. Have you had him on the show?
We ask people like that, Ro. They never come.
I'll talk to him. I think
I
he
would
should
love
come.
that. I think he should too.
I think he should come. You have a
I do too. I would love.
Maher's warning reaches far beyond one mayor or one city. Zohran Mamdani may have succeeded in New York, yet that does not mean his socialist agenda can win across the rest of America. The real danger for Democrats is allowing their most radical voices to define the entire party while moderate leaders remain silent or pretend the problem does not exist. Voters outside deeply progressive cities will not carefully separate Mamdani's positions from the Democratic brand. They will judge the party by the figures receiving the most attention. And if Democrats refuse to draw clear boundaries, Republicans will happily define those boundaries for them. Maher's message is brutally simple. A party cannot return to power by abandoning the political center and then blaming voters for refusing to follow it further left. In the end, the debate over Zohran Mamdani is about far more than one mayor, one city, or a handful of ambitious promises. It is about whether the Democratic Party is willing to confront the ideological direction of its own movement or continue pretending that voters cannot see what is happening. Bill Maher's criticism is not simply that Mamdani is too far left. It is that Democrats risk allowing radical rhetoric, questionable appointments, and economically untested policies to become the public face of the entire party. Mamdani now has the opportunity to prove his critics wrong. If he can lower costs, improve public services, protect working families, and deliver real results, then voters will judge him accordingly. Yet if his promises collapse under the weight of ideology and government overreach, the consequences will extend far beyond New York, because when one political experiment becomes a national symbol, its failure does not remain local, and Democrats may discover that the price of ignoring Bill Maher's warning is paid at the ballot box.